You know that person, right? They're friendly, they're kind, but there's this guardedness you just can't seem to break through. Well, it's not about being suspicious. It's actually a really fascinating psychological defense mechanism. Today, we're going to explore why some people don't trust easily and how their minds are actually wired to protect them from getting hurt.
So, let's start with the central idea here, a metaphor that really captures this behavior, the invisible wall. It's the perfect way to picture that protective barrier these folks build around themselves.
You know exactly what that feels like, don't you? You meet someone and they're perfectly nice, polite, maybe even really warm, but you can just feel it. There's this invisible line you haven't been invited to cross yet. It's like they're right there with you, but a big part of them is still held back, just out of reach.
And sometimes you might even get the feeling that you're being, well, watched. But it's not a creepy thing. It's actually a sign that they are incredibly perceptive. They're picking up on the tiny details most of us miss, like patterns and little inconsistencies. Think of it less as judgment and more as data collection.
Okay, so why? Why do they build this wall in the first place? Well, psychology points to 5 key reasons behind this protective instinct. Let's break them down.
First up, and this is a big one, past experiences. I mean, it makes sense, right? If someone's been let down or betrayed or even just disappointed before, their brain learns from that pain. It installs this internal alarm system that goes off when meeting new people.
And there's actually a term for this in psychology. It's called emotional conditioning. It's a pretty fascinating way the brain learns to flag the very idea of trust as a potential risk. So it's not about you. Even if you're the most trustworthy person in the world, their mind is on autopilot, trying to make sure that old wound never, ever gets reopened.
Reason number 2 is that these individuals are often just natural-born observers. Seriously, some people just have a knack for seeing past the surface level and really understanding what makes people tick.
And what's so cool about this is the difference in perception. See, while most of us are just hearing the words someone says, they're taking in the whole picture. The tone of voice, the body language, whether the actions line up with the words. They're basically listening to the conversation that's happening underneath the conversation.
All right, number 3, strong personal boundaries. These folks really get that not everyone deserves a front row seat to their inner world. You know, their deepest thoughts, their vulnerabilities. They guard their emotional energy like a fortress.
And this right here, this is the core shift in their thinking. For them, trust isn't the default setting. It's a privilege. It's something you have to earn through your actions over time. It's not just given away freely.
Next up, reason 4 is that they often have a very analytical way of thinking. So instead of just getting swept away by feelings, they tend to mix emotion with a healthy dose of logic. They're thinking things through, looking at people's motives, before they decide to really connect.
This means they're always sort of running an internal risk assessment. They're looking at a situation from all sides, thinking about what could happen, and actively looking for solid proof, real evidence that someone is dependable and has good intentions.
And finally, all of this, it really just boils down to one fundamental instinct: emotional self-protection. At its very core, being cautious is a survival mechanism. The brain is just doing its job, you know? It's trying to avoid pain and keep its owner safe. Vulnerability comes later. But here is where the whole story flips. Because what looks like a weakness from the outside is actually covering up a really incredible strength. Let's get into the unexpected upside of being this cautious.
And miss, this slide illustrates it perfectly. The trade-off seems obvious, right? Maybe you have fewer friends, a smaller circle. But the reality? Oh, the bonds they finally do form are incredibly deep, fiercely loyal, and built on a foundation of solid, proven trust. It is the definition of quality over quantity.
Yeah, because they've been so careful, so selective. When they finally decide to let you in, they are all in. The commitment is real, the loyalty is unshakable, and those relationships tend to be the ones that are incredibly stable and last a lifetime.
So, that leads us to the million-dollar question. How do you get past that invisible wall? How is that deep, meaningful trust actually built with someone like this?
Well, it really comes down to 3 simple but non-negotiable pillars. First, consistency. That means your actions have to match your words, over and over again. Second, honesty. Being real, being transparent, even when it's tough. And last, but maybe most important, time. You just can't rush this. Patience is everything. And that's really the ultimate takeaway here. Understanding this helps us all be a little more patient, a little more empathetic. It's a reminder that for some of the strongest, most amazing connections we can ever make, trust isn't a gift you just receive. It's a structure you build together, one honest action at a time.